Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the worst books I read this year. I like to focus on the positive, but there were some real doozies this year that I just wanted to bring up to you guys, tell you about why I didn't care for them. These can still be great books, maybe you even yourself enjoy them, but for me I just wasn't a fan, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. As per usual, the majority of these books mentioned will be mysteries since my channel is all focused on mystery content. There is like one exception that I'm going to throw in there just in case you're interested in reading it, but everything else is mystery novels that just didn't do it for me and why. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. Please let me know in the comments down below what books you didn't enjoy this year so that I can steer clear as well. And let's go ahead and jump into the first one. The first one is actually a recent library checkout of mine, and I checked this out for the holidays because I was super excited. I wanted to read a Thanksgiving cozy mystery. I wanted to just have that fun holiday themed cozy, and I actually read this. Over the course of Thanksgiving week, and I was really looking forward to it, but it just disappointed on so many levels. This is Turkey Trot Murder by Leslie Meier, and she's a very popular cozy mystery writer. This is her Lucy Stone mystery. She's got like, I don't know, this series has like 30-40 books in it. It's a massive series. So clearly a lot of people really enjoy this book, and if you're one of them, or the series at least, and if you're one of them, I'm happy for you. But this one just, I don't know, I didn't like it. Maybe it's because this is really late in the series. Maybe one of the beginning ones was like a little bit better, fresher, I don't know. But essentially, I had a couple of issues with it. One, this is clearly marketed as a cozy mystery. It's an amateur sleuth, small town setting, very like quirky, fun, humorous, lighthearted cover and title. So it's not meant to be like a serious mystery with like a lot of deep issues in it, because it is a cozy mystery, which is what I went in expecting from the series. And this book went in on lots of different political issues very heavily and prominently throughout the entire book. Like, it just kept talking about like different issues like racism and drug abuse and politics and a lot of these things, like very heavy topics. And not that these aren't important topics, but for myself and a lot of people who like cozy mysteries, a lot of us want that kind of cozy, character-driven, non-graphic mystery that we can just kind of escape into. And I found myself and a lot of other reviewers, when I went to review this on Goodreads, were saying the same thing, that this book just kept kind of driving home these really heavy topics, and it also felt like there was an agenda behind it. It felt very much like the author was trying to sway me and my own beliefs, and it just was like, I'm here for a cozy mystery, I'm here for this murder mystery. I did like the base murder mystery. Like, I thought that in itself was well crafted and well done, but there was just so much extra fluff and then like a ton of like other like just politics and stuff that seemed like it was just really driven home with like an agenda behind it, and it just kind of took the fun out of this mystery for me. Again, that's just my preference. I was looking for a cozy mystery when I picked this up because this is a well-known cozy mystery series, and it wasn't very cozy at all. And honestly, I was really annoyed with the main character Lucy and her husband, and just the characters all seemed very flat and kind of just annoying. I didn't really root for anyone, which is disappointing because usually you want to pick up a book, you want to root for someone. I didn't really like the main characters at all. I didn't feel connected to any of them. I didn't really care about the town. Like, it just fell flat on me in a lot of ways. I repeatedly went over and over these like hard-hitting topics and really just, I don't know if the author was trying to like speak about kind of current issues. This came out in 2017, so maybe she was trying to speak about issues that were in the news at the time and that are still in the news. And these are important issues, of course, but when you're trying to enjoy yourself and read a cozy mystery, it's not necessarily the place to like put a political agenda, in my opinion. So I didn't enjoy this book. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one is called Crime and Punctuation by Caitlin Dunnett, and this is the first in the series. I was really excited about this because the main character is a freelance editor, and she reads different like manuscripts, and she's also a retiree, like she's older, and I thought this sounded like a really cool protagonist. I was really interested in the fact that she was a freelance editor because I'm a freelance writer, so I thought, oh, this will be kind of cool to see someone with a similar career path. and I thought it could be very interesting. And I really liked the idea that the plot is driven by the fact that this manuscript is dropped off to our main character, and then the person who dropped the manuscript off dies, is under mysterious circumstances, and the manuscript is supposed to hold different clues to the person's death. And that concept was really interesting to me. That's what sucked me in. I was like, yes, that sounds excellent. I thought it sounded really interesting. But honestly, there was just too little action in this book. It was very, very slow, and I felt like the main character, there's nothing distinct about her other than her being a freelance editor and like a retiree. There was just nothing else I could really remember about this character. I read this earlier on this year, and there was just nothing notable about the character. Her best friend actually had a really good personality and was very fun, but overall the town lacked real character for me. Like, I couldn't really tell you much about the town at all at this point. The main character lacked real personality to me, and it just lacked action. So overall it was just kind of lackluster. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't that good. So for me, this was just kind of a low-ranked book this year for me. I didn't really care for it. This next novel I'm about to talk about is probably, it's the worst book out of all the ones I'm about to talk about today. It is the one that was absolutely the worst in my opinion. I can't believe I finished it. Like, I honestly am looking back and like, why did I finish reading this? It was such a hot mess. I think I kept reading it because I thought it surely has to get better. And I liked the premise of the book, but that's where what I liked ended. It was awful. So this novel is called Michelangelo's Notebook, and it's by Paul Christopher. I thought this would kind of be something along the lines of like the Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, like something that was kind of like a historical mystery that involved like murder and just intrigue and trying to solve like kind of like different cryptic historical clues to find, you know, a hidden artifact or something along those lines. And in this book, it's Michelangelo's notebook that is like the hidden, you know, priceless historical artifact that people are after the protagonist for. And I was very interested. At first, I thought it started off strong. The main character is a pretty feisty young woman. She has a job at like a museum, and she stumbles on these pages and she believes they're Michelangelo's like original notebook pages, but her boss laughs it off and says there's no way, he doesn't take her seriously. And long story short, the pages, she ends up with copies of them in her apartment, and someone is murdered and she ends up having to flee. And so it starts off very exciting. I was very intrigued by all of this. I thought it was good, but it goes downhill so quickly. I'm trying to like put the pieces together, but it was such a jumbled mess that trying to explain how much of a mess it is actually, it is messy. There's her father, who I think died when she was young, and she finds out that this man named Michael Valentine, who worked with her father, is like an expert in these kind of things, and maybe he can help her. So she somehow comes across him. I don't remember exactly how at this point because this was at the very beginning of the year, but she comes across him and the two of them start working together to try to figure out where these pages come from, if they're like authentic, who's after her, etc. Great. However, the book quickly goes from being about our protagonist to being about Michael Valentine, who to me was supposed to be like a secondary character. So it kind of shifts who the main character is like halfway through, and she becomes like very much just this like side piece. Like her entire role in the novel up until that point was being the protagonist, and then once he comes along, she's just like a small side character who's like there for the ride. Like, she has no voice, she's no longer feisty, she doesn't have like an opinion anymore. Like, she just becomes like flat, completely flat, and he takes over everything. It's really weird. Like, her personality totally shifts. This book also has multiple points of views, and it shifts from like different people who we've never met, so it's like shifting all over the place to like this person's like this story that happened like 40 years ago, and then this happened here, and like it's very confusing and hard to follow. And I know it's a mystery, so I know that at the beginning maybe you don't quite understand a point of view, but later it's revealed, oh, this is that person's point of view, or this is why it was relevant. But you don't really get that aha moment in this book, at least I didn't, and it ended up being really disappointing. Another thing that I was really frustrated with personally was that our main character and Michael Valentine end up having like relations together, and it was just very out of place. It felt very inappropriate because this is her father's friend, like supposedly like a best friend, and I can't imagine in what world someone taking advantage of their best friend's daughter would be okay. Like it felt very, everything was a mess. I cannot, if you if you listen to anything in this video, please skip this book. It was such a jumbled mess. The characters changed personality like halfway through the book. There was just some of the really inappropriate, weird stuff that was just unnecessary or never addressed, and it was just weird. I couldn't follow this book. It was a mess. I did not like it at all. Okay, so this next book is called Arsenic and Old Puzzles, and this is part of the Puzzle Lady mystery series by Parnett Hall. And this was an interesting book. I wouldn't say it's nowhere near as bad as the books I've discussed so far. It was okay. But I'm definitely not going to be going back and reading other parts of the series, I don't think. Because the main character, Cora, basically she's an older lady. I really love how, they're breaking out of the 30, 40-year-old protagonist that we usually see in cozy mysteries. And she's an older lady, and she's really known for her like Sudoku and crossword puzzle skills and all of that. And basically there's a bed and breakfast in town that two sisters run, and one of their guests is found dead, and he has a Sudoku puzzle in his pocket, and so they call upon the puzzle lady, the police do, to help them solve it, to see if it has relevance to the case. And there's like a series of different murders and puzzles that come about, and it's like she's being kind of like someone's trying to get her attention with the puzzles. It's kind of interesting. So I like the premise of the book. I liked the plot, but I hated the main character to the point that it was distracting. Now, there's some mystery novels I read where the main character is just kind of there and you're kind of experiencing the mystery through their eyes, right? Like maybe you don't love the character, but they're there and they're providing you with the information and the point of view for the book, right? And then there's other mystery novels where I'm really rooting for the main character. This one, I actively despised the main character, Cora, so much. She was so rude to everyone in her life. She was rude to the police. She was rude to everyone, and I think she was supposed to come across as sarcastic and like witty, but it just came across as very rude to me. She was rude to like her family members. I remember like one scene, there was I can't remember exactly the relationship was. I think it was her niece. Her niece just gave birth and had a baby, and she asked Cora to not smoke around the baby, which I think is probably a fairly reasonable request, and Cora like bites her head off for it, and it's like in her home too. It's not in Cora's home, it's like in the niece's home. So she asks her to step outside in her own home, and then Cora like lashes out at her, and then there's a lot of unethical decisions she makes, in my opinion. I just found her to be like a really distasteful character, and she was just like, I know all characters should have their flaws because all people have their flaws, but she had so many flaws and so many rude comments to every person in this entire book that I couldn't enjoy it, because I was like, wow, why is she even like on the case? Like, why does she care? Because she clearly just hates everyone. Like, why does she care to even help? Is it just like her own arrogance? Is it fame? I don't know. Like, she was such a dislikable character that I got through the books. I wanted to know who did it, and the mystery itself was pretty satisfying, but I wouldn't want to revisit this character at all. Like, she was just so awful. Like, I couldn't, it's just so unlikable. Like, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I know perhaps that's a little nitpicky, but I couldn't get through it. If you do like a really sassy, like unlikable kind of character, you might like this book, but for me, I discovered reading this that, you know what, I want to at least be able to understand where the character is coming from, and in this one, I couldn't understand why she was so rude to everyone. Like, there wasn't really a reason for it. There was no backstory. There was nothing that really prompted the rudeness whatsoever, so I couldn't really sympathize with her, which took away a lot of the book for me, and I just ended up really disliking her and not caring what happened to her. So I wouldn't recommend that one. It wasn't my personal favorite. Alright, and last one, I feel bad. I didn't realize that I had actually read another Lucy Stone mystery earlier this year, but apparently I was looking for a Valentine's Day mystery and Lucy Stone came up again because, of course, like I said, this series has like 30 or 40 books or something, so there's like several Thanksgiving mysteries alone in this series. So this is the Lucy Stone number 5 in the series, and again, this is by Leslie Meier. This one is called Valentine Murder. So as the title suggests, it's a Valentine's Day murder mystery. I picked it up around February because I wanted to give it a read. And this was my first one. I actually forgot when I picked up this one that I had read a Lucy Stone before. So I take back what I said. I have read one that was pretty early on in the series, and it was slightly better than this. It didn't have like the political agenda that this one felt like it had, so that was good, but I still felt like the character was just so boring. Like, just, I couldn't tell you much about her. I mean, she's a mother, she's married, she lives in this small town, she does some freelance writing for her newspaper, but like I couldn't really tell you much about her personality, and she was just very flat. Another thing I had noted in my review of this book is that the timeline for the book was very hard to follow. I don't necessarily need a book to be like, oh, it's day 1, day 2, day 3, or whatever in the series, but it felt like Lucy's days had no ending, no beginning. I could never tell if chapter 4 and chapter 7 were like in the same day, or if they were like 3 days apart, a week apart. Like, there was no timeline. It felt super jumbled. I just felt disoriented reading it, and I just didn't really enjoy it. So it wasn't a winner, and the main character, again, she just was very flat to me. I didn't really like her. I didn't care much what happened to her. She didn't have very much personality, and it just was really jumbled. I didn't really care for it. It didn't have like I don't remember it having the same like strong like political message or like harder hitting non-cozy like topics in it, so it was more on trend with what a cozy mystery is defined as, but it still wasn't something I enjoyed. So apparently this is a lesson to me that Lucy Stone, I gave it 2 tries this year, and it just isn't the series for me. Alright guys, so that is the end of this video. Please let me know down below in the comments, did you have any books this year that were just awful that you regret finishing or even picking up in the first place? Let us know why you didn't like them down below in the comments. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more content coming soon. I focus specifically on a lot of mystery content on this channel with occasional other book videos, but significantly we focus on mysteries on this channel, and I hope you'll stick around for more content coming very soon. I will have a best books of 2021 coming out very soon, probably after this video or soon after, so stay tuned for that, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Again, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!